Have you ever looked someone you love straight in the eyes and suddenly felt a chill run down your spine? A creeping, suffocating sensation of suspicion curling around your heart? It's a feeling you can't quite explain. It starts as a whisper, a flicker of doubt, then quickly snowballs into something that consumes you. You try to push it away, convince yourself it's paranoia. But what if it isn't? What if the person you trust the most is living a life behind your back? Michael never expected his world to fall apart over something as small as a phone notification. He never expected his heart to be shattered in the quiet stillness of their cozy living room. For years, he believed in love, in loyalty, in Emma, the woman who had been his whole world. He had married her with eyes full of hope, thinking they were building a life that nothing could break. But some foundations crack quietly from within, and by the time the walls fall, it's already too late. Michael didn't know it yet, but the woman he had cherished, his wife, his best friend, his partner, was already slipping away from him. Her betrayal had begun long before that evening. He just hadn't seen it. It started like any other normal night. Emma sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. The TV flickered in the background, casting shadows on the walls. Michael watched her absently, thinking about how beautiful she looked in that soft light, even after all these years. But then, something changed. A name flashed on her phone screen. Just one word: Dylan. Michael's stomach dropped like a stone. He'd never heard that name before. It wasn't one of their friends, not a cousin, not a colleague she'd ever mentioned. And the way her fingers froze mid-scroll, the way the color drained from her face, it said everything before she even opened her mouth. Emma saw his eyes flick to the screen. For a split second, panic flickered in hers before she masked it behind a forced smile. "Who's Dylan?" Michael asked, trying to sound casual, but his voice betrayed him. It cracked slightly, thick with dread. She hesitated just a little too long. "Oh, just a coworker," she said, brushing it off, turning her face away. But it was already too late. The seed of doubt had been planted. And once that seed takes root, it grows fast, like ivy, through the cracks of your marriage. That night, as Emma slept beside him, Michael stared at the ceiling. He couldn't forget the way she tensed, how her voice tightened. Something about it didn't sit right. She used to tell him everything. Now, it felt like she was speaking a script, and he was the fool in the front row. Emma had always played the part of the perfect wife, elegant, poised, graceful, hosting dinners, making everyone feel welcome, smiling at all the right moments. But perfection is often just a costume, a carefully tailored disguise hiding all the things that would horrify you if only you looked closer. And Michael was starting to look. The late nights, the nervous glances at her phone, the fake laughter, the way she avoided intimacy, offering a cold kiss instead of a warm embrace. These weren't isolated incidents. They were puzzle pieces, and they were forming an image Michael didn't want to see. Because the truth was, Emma had already crossed the line. It started with a few drinks after work, innocent conversations, jokes shared across a crowded room. But Dylan was different. He was dangerous, confident, unpredictable, exciting. Everything Emma thought she'd given up when she said, "I do." And that danger called to her like a drug. What began as flirtation turned to passion, and soon, stolen kisses turned into sleepless nights, tangled in each other's arms, while Michael was sitting at home, trusting his wife. She felt guilty. Of course she did, at first. But guilt fades when you convince yourself you deserve happiness. That lie became her lifeline. She told herself she wasn't happy with Michael anymore, that Dylan made her feel alive, that it wasn't really cheating if she was falling out of love anyway. But you can only lie to yourself for so long. Eventually, the truth claws its way to the surface. Michael began watching her more closely. He checked her phone when she was in the shower. Her messages were deleted, but one photo, a blurry shot of her with Dylan at a bar, had slipped through. He confronted her gently, asking again, "Are you sure Dylan is just a coworker?" Her face flushed. She snapped, annoyed, defensive. That's when he knew. But nothing could have prepared him for the moment the truth hit him like a freight train. He hadn't planned to find her. That night, he was meeting some friends for dinner at a trendy new place downtown. He arrived early, scanned the room to find a good table, and that's when he saw them. Emma and Dylan, tucked away in a dim corner, heads close together, completely absorbed in each other. Then, right there in front of everyone, she kissed him. Not a nervous kiss, not a drunken slip. A kiss full of passion and familiarity, as if he were hers. And Michael's world collapsed. The noise of the restaurant faded. His limbs went numb. Time slowed to a crawl. The woman he had loved for years, his wife, was kissing another man with the same lips she used to say, "I love you." Michael didn't go inside. He couldn't. He just turned and walked away. When he returned home, the house felt like a tomb. The silence screamed in his ears. He sat in the dark until she returned, humming to herself like nothing had happened. She didn't expect to see him standing there in the hallway. "I saw you," he said, voice hollow. Emma stopped dead in her tracks. Her purse slid off her shoulder and hit the floor with a soft thud. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. For the first time, she couldn't lie. Her face crumpled. The tears came. She dropped to her knees. "I never wanted to hurt you," she sobbed. "It just happened." Michael didn't speak. He stared at her, feeling absolutely nothing and everything all at once. The woman who knelt before him was both the love of his life and the source of his deepest pain. "I thought we were happy," he finally said. "We were," she whispered. "But I needed something else. I felt invisible." He clenched his fists. "So instead of talking to me, you let someone else touch you?" Emma cried harder. She reached for him, but he stepped back. Some wounds are too deep. Some betrayals leave scars that never heal. Michael didn't scream. He didn't throw things. He simply turned and walked upstairs, packed a bag, came back down. "I'm leaving," he said, his voice calm. "Please," Emma begged, "don't go. We can fix this. I made a mistake." But trust, once shattered, doesn't glue back together. It crumbles again at the slightest pressure. As he reached the front door, Emma ran out to the garden, still crying, still pleading. But Michael didn't look back. He couldn't. He stepped into the night alone, each footstep an echo of a life that had just died. That evening became a memory branded into his soul. The night he stopped being a husband. The night he became the main character in a betrayal story he never signed up for. He had built a life on love, trust, and honesty. But one name on a phone screen had exposed it all as a lie. And Emma? She stood in the ruins of the life they once shared, weeping over the wreckage she created. Because sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't possible. And sometimes, the person you trust the most is the one who breaks you beyond repair.